Hello, everybody. I'm Ahmed Zappa. It is an honor and a privilege to be here today with Wendy Dio. We're going to be answering some questions, talking all about this incredible new book. It's been a long time coming. Rainbow in the Dark, Ronnie James Dio, my personal hero, my favorite singer of all time. So for me, it's a delight to be in Ronnie's library, Wendy's library, and Wendy, I just love you so much.
Well, thank you so much for coming. We couldn't do it without anyone like you.
Well, you know, anytime you give me a call when the bat phone rings, right? When I know it's you, I'm like, yes, Wendy's calling me. So, little backstory. I've known you for many years.
Yes.
Wendy is a musical manager, titan in the industry, and you feel very much to me like a second mom.
Yeah.
You were very close with my mother.
Yes.
And your accomplishments of not just working with Ronnie, but with other bands and being in Artists Corner, elevating. Because you had this partnership with Ronnie, and with other bands, and this love story, and it's all touched upon in this this amazing book that came out yesterday. It's selling like crazy. People are loving it, which is so exciting.
I'm so glad.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
I just want to ask a few questions about it, and then we'll open it up to people that are joining us via Zoom or all over the world. So the journey to get from, Ronnie started writing the book, right?
Yes.
And so would he swirl away on and off tours? Was he writing it on tour? Like, what was his process in the beginning? And his desire to want to tell the story?
No, he would scribble down on a pad. He would handwrite it all, maybe a chapter, and then bring it into the office. And my assistant would type it up, and maybe he'd do another chapter, and then maybe he'd go on tour and not do it or anything, or think about it until he came back, and then he'd do another one, and then he'd do another one. When he got sick, he was on the computer a little bit then, and he would write little notes about things that he wanted to make sure that we talked about, and he wanted the book finished. And he had all these little notes and things to talk about. Don't forget this, and this. And we put it kind of, Mick Wall, who was a journalist of Ronnie, known for many, many years, kept nudging me. It's time to get the book out. It's time to get the book out. It's time to get the book out. So finally I said, okay, let's go for it. But I wanted it written in Ronnie's own words. So we went and we found archives of interviews he'd done over the years and those periods of time, and we kind of linked that all together. And then I chimed in with things I remember that were going on at that time. So that's how the process went until it was in completion. And we were very happy.
Because I know a little bit about this journey because we've been friends for a long time. And I always heard that, he had written down his stories, and I was so anxious for this book to come out. And when you were a fan of not just Ronnie's music, but him as a human being, how much he cared about, the arts, music, sports, people,
his fans,
food, all of those things. Yeah. It's in this book, and I am so happy that the world gets to see or have a deeper understanding of the man and his experiences and what were his ups and downs, and bringing context to things when you're a super fan.
Right.
You learn a little bit more of like what's behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
The book has so much of that in there, which is, as a fan like I am obsessed. I'm so happy that this is here. You have to get this book. If you haven't got the book, you're a dumbass because it's the jam. And some of these things are in there, but is there a story that you might want to share a favorite moment when you were going through the book, because it's so personal and emotional. But when you were putting it together, is there something for you that stands out in the book that brought you to tears, that was hilarious? Like, what is it? Do you have like a favorite moment?
Well, I don't know if it's a favorite moment, but it's a very knocked in my head moment when Ronnie, I walked all the times he had his records, trying to get records, demos out, walking down to New York or getting there for 250 100 miles from New York to go to and see Madison Square Garden. Always see that, and always said one day my name would be up in lights all the time. And then finally, when his name was up in lights there, I forgot the camera.
Yeah.
And in those days, we didn't have cell phones. And I got a lot of heat for that. That sticks in my mind.
But that speaks to an artist's journey where it's a manifest your destiny, right? He was very musical. He didn't start off playing, metal, right? Rock music.
No, yeah.
He's a classically trained musician.
Well, he played trumpet. His father forced him to pick an instrument when he was 6 years old, and he picked the trumpet and thought he could just run away and play baseball then. But no. His dad was an old strict Italian, and he had to practice like 4 to 6 hours every single day, including Sundays. And he really disliked it first of all, but then he got to the thing, but he got good at it, and wow, this is something new, this is something good, and that's how he started his career, really.
Well, I think the breathing exercises, being a trumpet player, that had to have affected his gigantic, powerful
breathing, definitely.
Voice.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
So that I always found really interesting about Ronnie. But you're in this world of music. How did he become a guy associated with dragons and crystal balls? And like, that's the thing, because he's like a musical warlock, a magician, right? So how did that really come into play? Was he interested in sci-fi all the time?
Oh, he loved sci-fi books. He loved sci-fi. Absolutely loved sci-fi. But I think a lot of it was coming from a small town where his grandfather worked in the steel mill. All the people worked in the steel mill. He kind of buried himself into books because he wanted to escape from this life. He didn't want to go work in the steel mill or do that. He wanted to escape. And I think we can find that with a lot of really good musicians, that they came from, a working class family and they wanted something more.
Right.
And that maybe they didn't think they were going to achieve that, but at least they could bury themselves away with music or with reading or with other things.
And did you guys connect on that same level? Because, like, for instance, I'm into some pretty nerdy things, right? And my wife is like, "Yeah, you're on your own with that." But when you're with Ronnie and he's telling these stories, there are these worlds he's creating from song to song lyrically, and his melodies. You're teleported to another time and space, another dimension. Is that also something that you guys, as in your relationship, where you're like, okay, that's great, or you're like, I'm so there with you?
No, no, I'm pretty down to earth. I mean, I enjoy reading fantasy books when I have the time and stuff, but not like Ronnie was. And I think the way Ronnie wrote and who he wrote for was his fans, the ones, the downtrodden, because he came from a working class family. He was short. And, he had that to overcome his height and things. And he always wanted to tell people to stick to their dreams. Always go for your dreams. Don't let people put you down. Never be put down. Just go for it.
I had the opportunity to meet Ronnie, thanks to you, which was a dream come true. And, he was someone kind of like, he had this uncanny ability to remember details about people. Like, he can meet them once And then, the next time you would see him, you wouldn't expect him to remember, like, oh, yeah, we saw each other at this date at this time. So he was superhuman in that way.
He had an incredible memory, but he also loved people. Yeah. He loved people. He loved his fans. He loved to know what somebody else was doing. Instead of talking about himself, he wanted to know what you're doing. What are you about? Tell me more about you. And always make people feel like they're the most special person in the world. Yeah. And he really had a gift for that.
But it was authentic.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He loved his fans. He never forgot where he came from. And he loved people. Generally loved talking, loved people.
Did you ever witness, because it feels like a magic trick, right? When your hero remembers a detail from a conversation you met once, is there a memory that you might have of Ronnie meeting someone and then running into them again years later and blowing their minds?
Oh, many times. Many times. He would ask someone they just met, their name, the name of their kids, and then maybe 3 or 4 years later he'd bump into them, they'd be at the show again. Hey, how you doing, Eric? How's Haley and so-and-so? And they would absolutely blow their minds. Yeah, he had an incredible memory. I don't know how he did it.
Well, he's I miss him. I often think about the kind of music he'd be making right now, specifically with, he's been gone for a while, but the music community, to be able to collaborate in new ways and to connect, through technology now, we're missing out on so much music. But I have to ask, can we expect new, because you know this better than anybody, what are some of the new, I know we're here to talk about the book, but is there new music, are there any other things that you could kind of Easter egg that you might want to share, or should I just shut the F up?
No, there's some unreleased stuff that we've been going in the vault and looking about and thinking about bringing out.
Yeah. See, this is what I want to hear. Yeah, this is good. All right. Well, again, if you haven't picked it up, you should. An amazing book, Rainbow in the Dark. I know how hard you worked on this. I know how hard Mick Wall worked on this as co-collaborators with the great Ronnie James Dio. How do you feel about raising a glass to Ronnie and then having some questions from the people that might be enjoying this?
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Cheers to all the fans of Ronnie's.
Ronnie.
And to Ronnie, of course.
Oh. Maybe we should just drink and actually not answer questions.
That sounds like a good idea.
All right, well, I'll open it up. Power of technology. Let's see what we got. All right, I'm going to throw some questions out at you.
Okay.
In no particular order. This is from a gentleman, Alan, from St. Paul, Minnesota. How close were you to a rainbow reunion with Ronnie before Cozy died, and was it considered after Cozy passed away?
There was a consideration at one time. Polygram flew us all out to have a talk about it. It was actually with Bob Daisy's manager and Cozy's manager and Ritchie's manager and myself. And we did discuss it. We went away and I don't think much came of it. And shortly after that, Cozy passed away, and Ronnie would never have considered anything without Cozy. So that's the answer to your question.
Right. Again.
So I write a signed book then too for you, right?
Oh, how about that?
Gotta sign his book.
That is happening too.
Yeah.
I forgot about that part.
That's what we're here for, remember?
Yeah. Well, not really. I mean, I had one sip and all reason goes out the window. Well, another question. What was Ronnie's favorite food? This is from Brad from I almost said Placenta, from Placenta, California. That's not a place. Placentia. Placentia? I can't say it. Can't say it.
California.
From California. From the United
States. He had two favorite kinds of food. Obviously, Italian food. He loved his grandmother's, what they call this wedding soup. little meatballs in it. That was one of his favorites. And of course, Glenn Hughes then introduced him to Indian food. So that became his number one favorite food. He loved a lamb vindaloo was his absolute favorite.
And didn't, I feel like I could be making this up, but I want to say it's correct. Because my father's, he also liked lamb vindaloo. And didn't Frank and Ronnie, did they meet over lamb vindaloo?
I think they did, yes. Yeah. It was during the that thing that was going on with the political thing.
Yeah. I mean, So that's kind of a way I like to celebrate my father and Ronnie, because I've known for many years he's a big Indian food fan.
Oh, absolutely.
And so isn't that weird, like how you can have something as simple as a lamb vindaloo, as delicious as lamb vindaloo, and it just brings back lots of memories.
Yep.
Anyways. Okay, what was Ronnie's...
Oh, wait, I got to sign that book.
Oh, that was for Brad.
For Brad.
Placentia.
Okay.
And, okay. So, another question from I'm curious about this, from Michael in, it says, Wisconsin. What was Ronnie's favorite horror movies? What were his favorite horror movies?
Horror movies?
Yeah.
Ooh, a lot of ones. Probably Devil Rides Out. God, I'm trying to think. He loved horror movies. He loved all the old Vincent Price movies, the old horror movies. You know, he was definitely into horror movies, science fiction, fantasy fiction.
Like all the Hammer horror?
Oh, the Hammer horrors, definitely the Hammer horrors. Yeah.
They're so great. So, did you love The Raven with Vincent Price?
The Raven, of course, Vincent Price. Yes, and what was it, Pit and the Pendulum?
Oh yeah.
All those old ones. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Dennis Wheatley is The Devil Rides Out.
Yeah.
And I think they made a movie of that, possibly with Johnny Depp.
Was there ever a specific film that maybe influenced one of the songs that we might not be aware of?
Well, he was an avid reader. He used to read a book a day, but I don't know if anything he brought. I'm sure there was things he put down from everywhere, but mostly watched sports while he was writing. So
that's funny. You're like watching football, and he's like, there's a place outside of Witch's Valley. God damn it! Why can't the Rams score?
That's probably how it would go down.
I'm sure.
So.
I'm sure. If you want to sign something for Michael, that would be awesome. Okay. All right. Speaking of sports, this is from Mike in Utah. I know Ronnie was a big sports fan. Sorry, I wish I probably need glasses now. Big sports fan. Did he take losses by his teams hard or just move on?
Oh, he took them really hard. He would swear up and down all over the place why that idiot missed it or why he didn't get that. Oh, no. He'd all hear about it. The whole house would hear about it.
Well, because of his voice, right? So if he's like in the basement, the whole house would shake.
Oh, yeah, the dogs are all hiding. The cats have climbed up the curtains. Yep.
I love that. Okay.
Let me sign his book.
All right. Another question. This is from Jake in Wyoming. Thanks for writing in, Jake. He asks, could you please tell us about the time when a garden gnome severed Ronnie James Dio's thumb? How did it happen, etc.? How does a garden gnome
I had bought this garden gnome, which was probably like this big, very heavy concrete garden gnome. And I had bought it at a flea market, and I had it in my office.
This feels like a horror movie.
Yeah.
It feels like
I was out of town, and Ronnie had gone to the office and decided he was going to take this gnome back to the house.
Okay, as one does.
We managed to somehow, it was almost as big as him, to get it in the car, and I was going to have it brought over and have the gardeners place it, but no, Ronnie wanted to do it himself. So we have this hill on the side of the house. So he had it, and he started to put it in there. And as he did, this gnome started coming down, knocked Ronnie over, and the pair of them rolled down the hill. And as they did, it rolled over Ronnie's thumb.
I shouldn't be laughing, but
I cut his thumb off.
Get out! His thumb came off.
Oh yeah, he picked it up, held onto it, drove himself to the hospital, and they stitched it back on. I came back the next day, and the job was not done very well. I took
You
him.
did it yourself?
No.
Wendy did it herself?
Yeah,
You're like, I got
my needles right out. No, I took him to a specialist who took it off and reattached it again. So that was the evil gnome.
Oh, it feels like there's a whole heavy metal horror series. You know that
the heavy metal gnome. Watch out!
Yeah, for real. Okay, this one.
I'm going to sign a book. I haven't got any more books. Where are they? Oh, there's books everywhere.
Yeah, there's
All
one.
right. All right, I'll find a book.
This is from Robert from Nevada. What song was Ronnie's favorite to write and record?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a very hard one. Let me think about that. My favorite song to write and record. I would probably say Children of the Sea, because it was so momentous to him to be with Tony Iommi, who he was a huge fan of. He always called Tony the riff master. And for him to be presented with the music to write that song with Tony on, that's probably his highlight. Yeah.
We're lost children of the sea. I dishonor him by trying to sing any of his music. All right, this is a lengthy question. I did not pre-screen this question. This is from Rick from Albuquerque, which is known for being a very metal place in the world. Albuquerque,
one of Ronnie's favorite
New
places
Mexico.
to play. Actually,
I mean, just the Chili's there.
Oh, they're just crazy people. They just let go. They're a fantastic audience.
Good for you. Good for you, Rick. Hi, Wendy. I'm so excited and looking forward to reading this book. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for making this book a reality. My question for you is there a certain era in Ronnie's career that you enjoyed the most? If so, which one and why? Thanks, Wendy. People are so nice, the questions that they're writing.
That's a hard question, too, because there's many moments. I mean, maybe the elation of working so hard on Holy Diver and seeing the audience reaction to that, in the audience totally accepting the new band and the songs. And I got goosebumps watching Ronnie play. It was like, oh my God, all the work we put into this, because we worked so hard on that album. It's done. It's there. It's happening.
I can. That was a big shift, right?
Oh,
to go out.
A big gamble. We mortgaged our house on that. That was a real big gamble.
And it paid off, though.
Yes, it did.
Here in the library.
Yes, it did.
Just fast. Paid off. Okay, this is from Michael in Cleveland, Ohio. Well, this is kind of a similar question, but what was Ronnie James Dio's what was he most proud of in terms of his accomplishments in his career?
I'm trying to think. His accomplishments. Oh, gosh, that's hard. Maybe going back with Sabbath the last time, because he really loved playing with those guys. You got the most amazing guitar player in the world, Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, the best bass player you could possibly think of, Vinny Appice, killer drummer, and they were having such a good time on that last reunion as Heaven and Hell. The tour they were playing so well. They were like kicking ass, unbelievable. And Ronnie would come off stage elated every night going, that was such a good show. So I think that was it. Good question.
Well, I have a question for you, because I've seen Ronnie play, and there was one guy, and I want to say you introduced me to him because he was this very stocky, strong. He looked like he could have been from Middle Earth, or maybe part troll. But I want to say his name was Meatball. Does that ring a bell? Like, he would just go back and forth. He was like a diehard fan.
Oh yeah, Meatball. He was a diehard fan, exactly. And he used to come to a lot of the shows. Yes, you're absolutely right.
He was like a maniac.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Meatball. Shout out to you.
Yeah.
My name's Meatball. Anyways, good memories. All right.
Did I start his book?
I'm sure this is the good thing about Wendy. She is devoted to making sure everyone gets taken care of. So we got lots of books. She's going to be signing them for you. This is from I want to say it's Welmer from Amsterdam. Hi, dear Wendy. Hi, dear Wendy. What music do you think our beloved Ronnie would play these days if he was still with us? Back to his elf days, or more of a bluesy or even jazzy sound? Kind regards, Welmer.
Okay, so well, Ronnie liked all kinds of music. He always said there's no bad music. He never listened to his
Except
own...
for Britney Fox. There, I said it.
Oh.
Not Wendy's not saying that, but Britney Fox, you're just a Cinderella copycat, and no one should buy your records. So there,
I didn't say that. Anyway, Ronnie loved to listen to classical music. He loved Beethoven because Beethoven was a big rock star in his day. He was a loud and boom, boom crashings. He liked to listen to that. He would listen. He listened to all kinds of music. He liked Deep Purple. He loved the Beatles. He loved new music. He'd listen to different people's new music that were coming out. He loved Tool. He loved Metallica. He loved all kinds of music, and I'm sure you'll be listening to whatever new up-and-coming bands there were.
But possibly an Elf reunion, was that ever something that was?
They did talk about that about a year or two before Ronnie passed away. David Rock Feinstein, Ronnie's cousin, who was in Elf, they got together, and in fact, I think the last recording Ronnie ever did was with his cousin. Metal Will Never Die was the name of the song. We went to Cortland, and we always saw Rock, of course, and his wife and his lovely family. And Rock said, I got some stuff, want to come down and listen? And Ronnie went down and then ended up putting a vocal on the track. I think that's on David Rock Feinstein's own solo album. And I think he did another one for the Rods also.
Was there ever a track that people wouldn't realize that Ronnie sang on? I mean, his voice is so recognizable. But like, did he ever sing on like a Thompson Twins song because he was in the studio at the same time?
But he did some stuff with Girls' School. He did a track on Girls' School album. He did a bunch of different things, and I did some backup with David Coverdale actually. And
is that known? I should know that.
Probably you should know that. Yeah, I think I did it too. I think we just did the chorus on something one night when we were all just together and just hanging out, and we just ended up doing that. I don't know. I don't remember what it was. He did a lot of different things.
Okay. All right. I think I know the answer to this question, but I always like hearing.
Sign his book.
Absolutely. Please keep signing, Wendy.
Mm-hmm.
This is from Bobby from Oregon. When and where did you meet Ronnie, and were you a fan of his music when you first met him? Paint this picture.
Yes.
Like love at first sight. I want every detail.
No. I met Ronnie. I was introduced to him by Ritchie Blackmore, who I knew him and his wife, and I knew them very well. And I was working at the Rainbow Bar and Grill on Sunset, and they had a party afterwards, and I was invited up there. And Ritchie wanted to push me together with Ronnie, and I said, well, he's too short for me. I don't think so. But he followed me around all evening, and was very persistent. And we all ended up going to, I think it was Denny's or something for breakfast. And I know the light was coming up.
That is romantic.
Yeah,
Denny's.
We went to Denny's. Had some
Rock and roll
breakfast.
Denny's on Sunset?
Yep. And then we drove up to, he said, let's have a drive up to Malibu. We drove up to Malibu and watched the sun come up.
Well, that was
nice. Romantic, yeah. And then I saw him a few times. He had just finished Blackmore's Rainbow. They had just finished recording it. They had not been on tour yet. And then,
but Ronnie was like, I love her.
Yeah, probably.
He
was chasing me. Yeah.
I mean, how could you not?
Yeah. And then he went on tour and then called me and said, "Come, why don't you quit your job and come on tour with me?" And I said, "Well, I can't quit my job, but I'll come for a couple of weeks." And I never went back. That was that.
So he really cast a spell.
Yeah,
because you have
I fell in love with his mind, I think. He was such an interesting person and could talk about anything and was just so different to other people. He was a different, they broke the mold when Ronnie passed away. He was a very, very special person, very kind, very loving, very controlling. I'm a control freak. He was a control freak. So we did have knockdown, drag-out fights, definitely.
So wait, what sign are you? Astrological sign, and what astrological sign was Ronnie?
I'm an Aries.
Okay, that is tough. That's strong.
Ronnie was Cancer.
Okay.
But
yeah.
Cancers stick to their, when they decide on something, they don't want to move about it. And Aries wants to move it. And so,
were you guys like a couple that would go get tarot readings together or have like never any of that stuff?
Never. No, the only things we got involved with is like that kind of stuff was in Rainbow, it was called Horrorville. We called it Horrorsville at the chateau in France in Pontoise, and we called it Pentyhose. And we had a lot of seances there. A lot of things happened, and in the book it tells you all about it. And it was kind of scary, and I would never touch anything again after that.
Okay, all right.
I got to find the book.
Good to know. Good to know. Let's go. I'm just going to zip on down to Craig from Wisconsin. Hello. I have always wondered what Ronnie's most satisfying and fulfilling musical period was. The Rainbow era, the Sabbath era, or the solo era? Well, we kind of touched on that, but maybe as framed that way.
I think framed that way, I think that I would say that Ronnie was satisfied each time for a period. In Rainbow, when he was in Rainbow, the second album, he was very, very happy. They were working very, very well, and everything was going well, and they were writing fantastic songs.
I mean, Mob Rules and Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, then he was very, very happy. He loved writing those Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. But then again, his own albums, Holy Diver, Lost in Line, he loved doing that too. So I think each time was a special moment in his life.
Yeah. Well,
sign his book.
Thank you, Mr. Man, Craig from Wisconsin. All right, this is from Dustin from Canada, Ontario. Hi there, Wendy. Thanks for signing my book. My question is, what is your favorite song that Ronnie played? I think I've already asked that question. You know, I'm not doing a very good job of pre-screening.
Yeah, Ronnie played or I? My favorite song or Ronnie's favorite song?
What is your favorite song that Ronnie played?
So that's different. That's a different question, you
yeah.
see. Now, I would have to say Rainbow Eyes, because he wrote that song for me. Because my eyes change colour. They're blue sometimes, they're green sometimes, and sometimes they're hazel. So I have to say that that's my favourite song, Rainbow Eyes.
Okay. I learned something new here today.
Ah, you didn't know that, huh?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not
what colour
know
are
that.
my eyes today?
Well, I've been drinking, so they just look like they're
Bloodshot?
fuchsia. They're bloodshot. The color of bloodshot.
Okay.
Okay. No, they're green. They look green to me.
Green today.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
very green. I love you, by the way.
I love you too.
See, staring in your eyes like that, I just get overcome with love. So I can see how Ronnie was totally transfixed by you, because you are magic. All right, so this is from Jenny in, I guess, Mississippi. It's all jumbled together. What are some of your favorite parts of your life with Ronnie? What sticks out the most? I like that question.
Maybe a wedding.
Elaborate.
Our wedding was very wonderful. We lived in Connecticut at the time. We had a very medieval wedding. I had a dress that was it was very pale blue with pearls and flowers in my hair. It was like a Camelot, and all my bridesmaids were all dressed like maids from the medieval days, and we got married at a place called Waverley Castle, and actually it was featured on Days of Our Lives. It was the house it was, and they rented it out for weddings, but you had to live in New Canaan, which we did, to be married there. And there was a big sweeping staircase, and I always remember I came down the sweeping staircase, and there was Ronnie standing there with Ritchie was the best man. No, Bruce Payne was the best man. Ritchie was one of the best men, and Dog Daisy and a bunch of people. We had such an amazing, fabulous time. It was so over the top.
So some of the guests that were there, who was the most ill-behaved?
Probably me.
Really? Okay.
I don't know.
I mean, that's saying something. That's a pretty rock and roll crowd.
Oh no, we had a lot of fun. Who was the worst behaved? Oh, there's always one. I think it must have been an old uncle of mine or something who got totally drunk and was grabbing all the girls. I think that's probably.
Oh, see,
we call it overserved these days.
Okay,
He
overserved.
was slightly overserved.
Yeah, Uncle Hansy.
Uncle Hansy, yes.
Cheers to Uncle
Hansy.
Well,
rest in peace, Uncle Hansy.
Yeah. So, but Ronnie, as a family man,
That's wonderful.
please do. Ronnie is as a family man. Did he get along well with your side of the family too, and vice versa?
Absolutely. My Ronnie's family, as I said, they were second generation Italians, lived in upstate New York. Very, very sweet. His mother was the sweetest person in the world. She'd go to confession like twice a day. And I said one day, Anna, why do you go to confession? You're the sweetest person. Well, you never did. Sometimes I have bad thoughts. It's like, no, they got on really well. My parents, of course, from England, and we'd always get together, all of them. And in fact,
But both Catholic. Is your
no? I was brought up very strange. My father was an atheist. My mother was Church of England.
Okay.
We lived in a Jewish neighborhood, so all my friends were Jewish.
All right.
And then I went to Japan in the 70s and studied Buddhism. So I'm a bit mixed up here, but it comes from your heart. Everything comes from your heart. Anyway, my parents actually went on a cruise together with Ronnie's parents, and they had a fabulous time. They went to England. They met all my aunts and uncles. My parents had come over and met all his aunts and uncles. They were always together. They loved each other.
Sounds so charming. That's so nice.
Yeah.
All right, this is Scott from South Wales, Australia. Did Ronnie ever have plans for a reunion with Ritchie Blackmore, or at least a song?
Well, I kind of answered that before. There was talk of it, but after that went away, no, there was no more. It's a shame because, Ritchie's a great player, and Ronnie and him made some beautiful music together. Yeah. But I think that was the time. Ronnie had grown to be himself. He was a different person then. I mean, he learned a lot of things from Ritchie. Some things were good and some things were bad. It was like some things you knew that Ronnie had a way of saying, he learned what to do and what not to do when he worked with Ritchie.
Right. Okay. That is a political answer, folks.
Yes.
This is
We're running out of books.
Running out of books. We're also running out of time.
Okay.
Jeffrey from, I guess, Windsor, Connecticut, I think, in an interview with Misplaced Straws, Craig Goldie mentioned a song he and Ronnie recorded in their last session. Will that song ever be released? I want to know the answer to this question.
Actually, there are about 3 songs that Ronnie was working on a song with Jim McBain before Jimmy passed away. Right. That was one that is in the box. So we have to listen to that. Yes, Craig and Ronnie were working together on a song.
But just a song? Is it more than one song?
It's a song. A song. They were working on some material and stuff, and then it got pushed to the side. And I think the last thing Ronnie was working on was with Doug Aldridge. And they were working on a song. But, those are all things that are in the vault. I have to go into the vault. I have to have...
Well, let's as someone who knows a thing or two about vaults, right? Let's just talk about the size of this vault, right? Because there you have, so much content in there.
Oh, yes.
And I get asked questions like this all the time.
Okay.
So, I'm as a huge fan, and that
the vault is probably twice the size of this room. So
this you can't see the size of this room, but it goes on this way forever and that way forever. So
it's
vast.
Yeah.
It is vast.
Yeah.
I've seen the vault. It is vast.
So we have to what I want to do, and I am in the midst of doing that because we got to get all the stuff. It's all in big 2-inch tape. A lot of stuff. We got to get it all into format where it won't disappear and
so that's
deteriorate.
Because that happens. Right?
Yeah,
so
that does happen.
So we can make everyone calm down a little bit. Are you taking the necessary?
Yes, we're taking the necessary steps. We're having it all itemized and categorized. And Wyn Davis was Ronnie's engineer, who loved Ronnie to death, and Ronnie loved working with him. He's the only person I really trust to do that. And so he's going there, going through the stuff, and he will listen to those songs and tell me if those are what Ronnie would approve. Because Ronnie was a perfectionist, so it has to be something that Ronnie will put out. We're not just going to shove something out because it's got Ronnie's name on it. That's not what Ronnie would want, and I would never do that for Ronnie. But if there's something there that we can, if the lyrics are there and Ronnie sang the parts, we can always have the band go in and play the music. But we have to make sure that it's done properly. So that's the answer to the question. Sorry, I'm a bit long-winded on that question.
No, I love it. I'm hanging on every word you're saying. Here's a book question. So this is from Brett in Victoria, Australia. How much of the book was written before Ronnie passed away?
Ronnie wrote up to almost the end of Rainbow, but he also wrote a lot of little notes after that. So there were scribbling things that he wanted us to talk about in his own band, in the Sabbath time, and all the different things. So we kind of put those all together.
That's a considerable amount.
Oh, he had notes all over the place, but it was really hard because some of them we looked and said, okay, let's look at this, let's look at that. So we went back and looked at all the different interviews during that time to see what he was talking about, and if that's what's covered the note that he left for us. Right. So I hope that answers your question. Very
cool. This feels like an inside joke from Doug from Edinburgh, if I'm seeing that right. Anyways, from the United Kingdom. Do you have any photos in the book that involve kilts at a hotel bar in Luxembourg? So that's inside. That's an inside.
That's an inside joke. Yes, we were there. He's referring to my cousin Keith. Because I come from Scottish heritage, and my cousin Keith still lives in Inverness.
Okay.
And he did have a kilt on at the time when we came to a show one time. So yes, that's an inside joke, and yes, I do remember you.
Okay, well, I know that this is about Ronnie, but can I tell you a quick kilt story?
Yes, please.
I somehow wound up in
a kilt.
I was wearing a kilt. I went to a party for a very well-known comedian, and I see this Black Hawk like helicopter thing land in the distance. Right? I'm like, who's that? I was like Prince Charles was coming to the party. Totally was Prince Charles.
Oh, you're kidding.
So I'm now stuck in a room, and I'm wearing a kilt because it was required. But when I went to my kilt rental shop, I was like, give me like something that's all pink and flashy, rainbow, whatever it is, right? So I'm wearing this. I look like a fancy clown wearing a kilt. And so as Prince Charles comes into this room, he's saying hi to some of the other people there. And when he sees me, and what's it called? Your sporin? What's the bag? Yeah, is that the bag?
Yeah, it's like it's made from goat fur, and
yeah. So I had a goat fur.
It's like a wallet, actually.
So I had my sporin, and I guess he recognized my kilt
because it's all different parts, and all different strands.
So that was pretty cool. But then he reached down to pick up my sporin. And you know, when you're not supposed to wear underwear, you're having a kilt, and he touched my balls.
Oh.
So Prince Charles, thanks for that. Okay,
that's like Camilla Parker balls. Where did she park her balls?
Just saying, that was an awkward moment for me. Awkward for me.
Oh dear. Well, I'll tell you, if I can, a kill story. I was with my cousin in England, and it was New Year's Eve, and we were going in for dinner, and we were waiting in the restaurant to go in for dinner. He had his kilt on and everything, and he sat down on this couch. It was a very low couch, and two little old ladies sitting opposite, and his kilt went up in the air, and they went, ooh.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I think it was definitely an accident. Just saying. I don't know. But it was
an experience.
Woo!
So
changing that subject.
Sign his book.
Can you sign one for Prince Charles as a thank you?
I could.
On my behalf?
Yes, I
for
could.
that experience?
Will you deliver it to him?
Yeah, well, sure. Somehow figure it out. Okay, let's see. This is from George in California. I've always heard that Ronnie went to a medieval Renaissance fair called Pensick, but didn't know if it is true. Did he go? Was that something that he was into? So was he into like going to Ren fairs and cosplay?
I think what he might be referring to is on one of Ronnie's birthdays, I rented a double-decker English bus, and we went with all of his band and friends and everything. We went to medieval times.
Hilarious.
And it was hilarious. We had
By the way,
very fun time.
Thank you, Medieval Farms. Thank you for existing.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And another time, I think when we did Sacred Heart, we all dressed up like medieval people for some reason at this party. I think it was the party from the listening party for the Sacred Heart, and we all dressed up at the rehearsal place.
That just feels like a time when, I wish we would have been closer.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
I feel like it should have been.
It should have been there.
Yeah.
It should have been.
Yeah. Let me see. I don't know how much more time we have here. This is from Ken from Texas. Hi, Wendy. Thank you for doing this. Is there any released music videos, etc., of Ronnie that you ever see getting released? So are there like secret concert films that could be put together?
We do have whenever we did a show anywhere, we always made sure, we always taped it. We didn't always videotape it, but there might be some stuff we did in Russia. As I said, when we go through the vaults, I'll be looking at this stuff, and if there's anything that looks like it's something good, then we'll put it out.
Did you guys ever record any of the intimate band rehearsals?
Well, there might be some band rehearsal things, but there's also some other tapes that Wynn said are very special, because Ronnie would have the band set up in the studio downstairs, and he'd go through the songs and record it, and then he would, on his equipment downstairs, and then they would go to a proper studio and do it properly. Right. But there was always those tapes that were done that Wynn said are very important, and that maybe we could go through some of those and maybe release some of those at some time.
That sounds awesome.
So there's an answer to your question.
Yeah.
And I will sign your book.
This is from Chrissy from New York. If Ronnie could tell you or his fans one thing today, what do you think it would be? Some words of wisdom from Ronnie today. Top of mind.
Always follow your dreams. Never give up. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Just follow your dreams.
That feels right.
She told me something else to say.
It says we have to wrap it up. So guys, I'll ask you maybe one more question.
Yeah.
So in no particular order.
I feel bad for these people that we didn't answer their questions.
Well, maybe we should just stop talking and
carry on.
Or just end this and just have some more wine together.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Yeah.
Okay. Let me try to find a good one here. Okay, it's all kind of similar. So this is kind of boring as I'm trying to find a question.
A different question?
All right, here we go.
What? What's she saying?
Move books.
Move those books because they're going to fall.
Oh yeah, this is hilarious.
They're all gonna fall
That's how you
over.
know this is really happening.
Okay. What's
Okay.
going on?
We've covered so many of these questions, and like he doesn't really work so very well on the phone. All right, here's I'd like to know this. This is from Dawn in Antioch, Illinois. Wendy, what is your favorite funny story of Ronnie while on tour, and who was some of Ronnie's favorite musicians? So let's cover the funny story.
A lot of funny
Thank you,
stories.
Ron.
A lot of funny stories. We had lots of things going on in Rainbow. There were always pranksters going on. Cozy Powell was a major prankster.
Would people get pissed, or would they all laugh?
Well, some people got pissed if it was on you. They had a thing of whenever we checked into a hotel room, I would get somebody's key, one of the band's keys, and then Cozy would go in there and take all the furniture out of the room. So when the person went up, usually we did it to a promoter. There was no furniture in the room, and he would complain there's no furniture in the room, and they think he's crazy and whatever. And then another time, Cozy Powell climbed up this whole wall, I don't know how many stories, and thought it was Ritchie's room, and let off a fire extinguisher in there, but it actually almost killed the Xerox man that was there. It wasn't his room at all. We all got thrown out of the hotel. I never went to bed with my clothes on in Rainbow Days because when we were on tour, there was always something going on where we'd get thrown out of the hotel. So there you go. Never get undressed on tour.
Yeah, because there's too many shenanigans.
And what was the other part of the question?
Who were his favorite musicians? I think we covered.
Well, obviously Tony Iommi, Simon Wright, Vinny Appice, Craig Goldie, Scott Warren, Jude Bain. I mean, everyone he played with, he loved to play with those. Tony Geezer, all those people.
What were some of the fake names that you guys would use to check into hotels?
Well, he was Ronnie always checked in as Reg Waters for some reason. I have no idea why. Reg Waters, that was his name.
Okay.
Geezer had some very funny names that he would, I can't repeat, check into as. They all had silly names that they would check into.
Cool. Well, Wendy, thank you so much for letting me be a part of this little moment in time to celebrate this awesome book, Rainbow in the Dark. Thank you. Cheers. We'll have more of that. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I hope everyone gets the
Hope
book.
everyone enjoys it.
Thank you.
This is for the fans, written from the fans, and we hope you love it. Okay, here's to the fans. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Love you.
Hey, this is John Acuff, New York Times best-selling author of 7 books and someone who's done a live signing. If you like the one you just watched, make sure you check out our YouTube channel. It's full of amazing authors having great conversations and signing books for viewers just like you. So make sure you subscribe, and thanks for watching today.